Yeah, we don't really need awkward introductions. Obviously, this will be more for YouTube, but so instead of that, obviously everyone already probably knows Meta Goblin, already knows Dr. Cal, because the whole Paladin community absolutely loved him on the video on the channel recently, and they want you back, Cal. They want you to be doing more. That's why I keep begging you.
I've got I think there's a TBC server coming out soon on top of TBC Classic, probably isn't far, and I'm gonna be doing quite a bit more videos. I started releasing a good amount, but then I think I have 7 that are really close to being done. Just trying to figure out the music part of it.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
I'm so bad at editing, but I'm working on it. They're really close, but they're all edited. I just got to figure out literally the audio and music part of it.
Well, I'll put links to obviously both your channels in the description anyway, so anybody who's watching this back on YouTube, or even if you're watching live on Twitch now, obviously make sure you give Dr. Cal and Meta a sub on YouTube, and obviously, yeah, follow them on Twitch as well. Their details are on screen, you can see them anyway. So, just really, really briefly to outline what we're going to be going over. So, the main things is, obviously, it's all going to be Blizzconline, and I want to go over a bit on what our predictions are going to be, as in what we think's going to come, what we'd like to actually come, you know, so what would be the perfect announcements on Friday for us. And then, what else did I throw in here? And then what the timelines look like. But then I've got a few other little resources that have been thrown at me over the last day or two, which we'll put on screen and have a chat about. But I think probably the best way to jump into it will be, actually, if we go with the first question, which is what would the perfect announcement be for all of us? So, if we go over that first, and Meta, I'll let you kick off. What would be the perfect announcement for you regarding TBC? And then we'll start looking at the schedule and, you know, what's expected before we go into the next section.
Well, so just for TBC?
Yeah, just TBC. I mean, I don't think we're any of us are too bothered about StarCraft or Hearthstone or maybe Diablo 4. There might be a bit of interest in, so I don't mind touching on that. But
I mean, I would just be happy if they announce that they're going to do fresh servers, and then that'll be me happy. That'll be me picking shit. Like, I don't care about anything else.
I think, yeah, Cal's waving his hands around, so I think he's exactly the same.
Yeah, dude. Fresh servers would be so. God, I couldn't imagine. There not being fresh servers.
Well, if we go back to a leak that was a couple of weeks ago, that was someone compiled on Reddit, that actually categorically said that there's going to be no fresh servers. So I suppose we need to hope that leak's not actually accurate, because I died a little bit inside. Are either of you prepared? I know, Meta, you've got a rogue on Classic.
I mean, I was thinking of re-rolling onto a dead server for TBC Classic. Because there's a server called Dragonstrike that has nobody on it on the EU side of things. We could just roll on that server instead. But just, you know, enough people would have to do it. Otherwise it will still be a dead server.
Is it dead on both factions?
Yeah, massively. Like 50 people either side, peak time.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, that's interesting.
That's pretty dead.
But I mean, that if we didn't get fresh servers, that's probably the closest thing to fresh that we could actually get. Quite an interesting.
Correct.
Thought. So what outside of fresh servers?
Like loads of, we would need like a lot of big streamers to roll on that server, though. I think to get people to actually do it.
Yeah, you'd have to try and start a movement, wouldn't you? Like they done recently with a server that was massively horde populated, wasn't it? And then they like sort of called it a fresh server for Alliance, but yeah, it would have to be something like that. And as you say, you'd need some big voices in the community sort of making that happen. So Cal, so fresh. Obviously, yeah, I want fresh as well. Even though I'm well prepared on Classic, as in I've got my Prot Paladin and I've got my Druid, both at 60, got a reasonable amount of gold, you know, Profession's done, they're ready to go. Are you prepared for a progressive launch if there was one?
Absolutely not. I've got all my eggs in a fresh server basket. Of course, the contingency plan would be to just level up a Prot Pally out the door and be behind. Like, when at the end of the day, like if I swallow it and just be like, you know, man, it is what it is. It'll affect Tier 4, most of Tier 5, but by the time Tier 5 is released, if it's not on launch, people will, all the Tier 3 gear will be gone, but all your, a lot of it. The gold everybody will have their craftables, and then the economy will just be kind of whack. I would just go with the flow, I guess, and do my thing.
Would you start now? So, say this is 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday, BlizzCon, the first day's over, we know what's going to happen. I mean, we'll get more into what we think is going to happen other than just fresh servers, but we might as well start there. So, let's say, they did categorically say there's going to be no fresh servers. Would you ditch Whitemane and start on Classic, or would you actually still wait for TBC?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play Horde, so there's not like I can rush and get a Paladin going. I have a 60 Shaman. I've got a substantial amount of gold. But I would I'd still kind of just be waiting.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
I'd be depressed, sad waiting, but I'd be waiting.
I think I'd be the same. I mean, I naturally would start playing Classic again Saturday. Literally, I'd still be playing.
Could you you know how you get hyped for a server? Or you get ready for a server launch, whether it's you get hyped or you just get prepared. It would be complete opposite effect if it was progressive servers. I would literally get more and more just dragged down as the servers got ready to launch, which would be whatever. It's not going to change my game plan, but man, that would kill a lot of it for me.
Yeah, and a lot of people would be the same.
I mean, I can't stress how much the people that have invested time and effort into their current characters. Even if I was still going super hardcore on a progressive server, I would never stop playing my tune. I would just make a level 60 twink. That's what it would get turned into.
Yeah, and the thing is, these people who have invested all their time into their character and everything, that's all well and good. They're not going to be affected by fresh servers. That's why, obviously, it is a very private server mindset, if you like. It's the majority of us that want fresh servers. And then, all the people who have played through Classic, through all the phases, are like, no, we don't want fresh, we only want progressive. But if we get fresh, it's not going to have an impact on them whatsoever. In fact, they've got a big advantage, because the fresh servers are definitely... Well, the fresh servers shouldn't be getting world firsts. Not in Tier 4.
No, I don't think that would be... No, I don't think it'd be even possible.
So, yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, how much of it would it change for you, Matt? So, on Friday, we find out there's no fresh servers. What would that mean for you over the next, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, I'll probably have to start leveling some characters up, to be honest. I think I'll start leveling some level 50s up as well to get for crafting cooldowns and everything like that. So
it would suck though, wouldn't it? As in me and you were and you, Cal, you as well. We're almost going to feel like we have to do it. We don't want to do it, and we're not going to enjoy doing it. The next few months could be really quite draining for us, but. And that's what I don't like, and that's what I don't like about not just us. Forget us, that's selfish. Let's stop thinking about private server players. Let's think about people who genuinely felt like they missed the boat when Classic launched. Let's say they just had a new job or whatever. They didn't have the time to invest, but now they have. Lockdown, the COVID, all of that has played a part. I would say people are playing games a lot more because they're not having to travel as much for work or anything like that. They're just at home more. So now they might have the opportunity to play the new expansion that comes out, but not want to play it because they're starting with with mages who are running around gold capped on 2-3 characters. They're going to feel so far left behind that could put them off. I think a fresh server is a good place to start. If TBC, TBC is the first time you're stepping into Classic. So
yeah, I mean, you'd have to pick a class that doesn't rely on professions that much. From the top of my head, pretty sure a hunter just needs that beast lord set, and it's pretty good to go into a raid. Whereas every other class needs so much crafted gear that's going to be probably 4 times as expensive on a progression server. than it would be on a fresh, private TBC server.
I mean, I think realistically, Cal, you're going to see, these warlocks, shadow priests, whatever, mages, who have got ridiculous amounts of ults with all tailoring, using tailoring cooldowns and loads of gold going into it. They're probably going to have their full crafted gear that's going to last them all through tier 5, maybe in the first 2 days of being 70, 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see you have a large amount of high population guilds, right, that are running 2 to 3 raid groups. 2 to 3 raid groups for Classic. When this starts boiling down, you're going to have guilds running 5 or 6 split runs for T4, T5. I think people are going to gear up. Your more serious players are going to gear up super quick. I don't mind split running. I would rather run a main raid and then go with the same group of people with alts in a second raid. But of course, at the end of the day, it's not like you're bringing all your main raiders to Gruul's Lair when you can split up 2 players who each have a chance at Dragonspine Trophy. You're gonna have, it's just, in reality, like on private servers, sure, you have craftables that last. I'm pretty sure Crix is still using his frozen shadowy boots in Sunwell. But the amount of raids that are going to be getting cleared on TBC Classic is just going to be insane. Thousands and thousands of Gruul's Lairs a week.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden these items that you don't see very often, or when you get it, it's massive. You could be seeing guilds get it in 2 or 3 groups in a reset.
Oh, you're going to have every DPS having a DST going into Black Temple. 100%.
Yeah.
On white main, right? Like, I would never count on my guild to give me illustration, so I pug my own 25-man OS, and I go and try to reserve the trinket. And I only need like 16 people in that raid to kill that boss, so same thing will happen with Gruul's Lair. I'm not going to be bothered by how easy TBC Classic is, because I'm there for the experience. I'm not going to push speeds and things like that, so.
Yeah, and I think I'm the same. And meta, I mean, it probably goes without saying we are going to end up in the same guild on Classic, no matter what server we're on. And I mean, we just want to clear the content. I mean, that's how I feel. I want to clear the content while it's current content, not bothered about speed running. We want to have a solid, and very much like what you said, Cal, having a solid 25-man group who, let's say you've got 3 or 4 extras for when people can't make it, but, the group stays the same most of the time, and then, you all do go and do alt raids together as well. I mean, it's that for me, rather than it's hard enough trying to organise one raid group. In my experience, trying to organise, going from like 2's probably manageable. But if you're going from 2 in Classic, you're now going to be going to at least 3 in TBC, which I think is where the manageability of it, if that's even a word, starts to get a little bit more difficult. I mean, what's your thoughts on that matter? Actual raiding aspirations in TBC?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on how many members each guild loses, I guess. But you got 40. Well, most guilds have aim to get 40 members coming to the raid, but normally end up having more like 35 to 40. But even then, go jumping into TBC with 35 core members when the raids only take 10 or 25 people. That's going to be a lot of people on the bench, unless you make a second 25-man group. Which, to be fair, I've been in guilds that have done that before, but the more people you have in the guild, the more drama every single time. So a lot of guilds I've had 2 raiding teams in my experience have been a little bit unstable because of just general loot drama. Because you got 50, 60 raiders in one guild all moaning about loot. Things can go a bit pear-shaped.
Yeah, and you've always got that, group 1's better than group 2, how do we make it balanced? No one's happy with what group they're in, are they?
Correct. You could have a solid 2 raid teams right now in Classic, and if that turns into 4, or if your 3 turns into 5, what's the quality going to be like? Are you going to expect your GM to run all 5 groups? Because he'll end up probably, driving himself nuts doing that. That's where drama might kick off, right? Like, oh, this group sucks, or this group's loot council is different, unless you're doing, DKP or a point system. The amount of guilds that are going to pop up is going to be pretty crazy too.
Yeah. So look, we strayed slightly off topic, but just that's what we do. So while we are strayed slightly off topic, and we're talking about sort of raid numbers, raid compositions. So another reason for Fresh, well, not maybe a reason for Fresh, but a negative effect that's going to come out of not having Fresh is the sheer amount of warriors and rogues. I feel like a lot of people know that warriors and rogues are not that strong, pretty much, and Cal, feel free to correct me, but pretty much till end of BT/Sunwell. That's when they start to pick up some pace.
Your rogues, right, like, they do all right. They need it. Like, even in tier 4 and they get all best in slot, they're competitive, like, in their own mindset. If you compare them to other melee, as you know, I'm not a fan of them. Rogues will still be popular because Arena is going to be insane popular. That's the only thing. Warriors, same thing, right? Like, those PvE all-stars are going to have to turn into PvP all-stars, is usually what's going to happen. If you think your guild's going to bring a squad of warriors into T4 and T5, you're very mistaken. Would they be able to do it? Probably, though. Like, it'll probably be able to be done.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about tier 4, really, for sort of, like, let's go with Gruul, so High King Mulgar, there's not really that much that you would say is melee unfriendly. Obviously, you're still going to need a mage tank. You're going to need, let's say, a boomy tank for Kigler or whatever his name is over the back. But outside of that, you could get a raid with minimal amount of range, and probably get by. Same really with Gruul. Gruul's, I would say there's not going to be that many issues. Arguably, Magferodon's going to be easier with all the interrupts that you're going to have. And, I think tier 4 is probably the friendliest for melee, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess T6 isn't the reason why rogues do well and warriors do well in T6 is the fights become more melee friendly as well. But it's just mechanics are just not friendly to melee and TBC across the board.
No. Well, it's like if you thought you was going
to running to things, like even on like let's say you brought 10 melee to Gruul. That would make Shatter actually easier because you'd have a circle of people getting pushed back and then they'd have time to spread out easier, whereas range kind of get tossed everywhere, and believe it or not, range usually mess Shatter up more than melee do.
Mm-hmm.
Cave-ins would just be everywhere on Gruul, like on top of him. But, oh well, I think Gruul's going to die so fast. Here's my prediction with Gruul, like 5 grows in the first week. I bet he'll grow 5 times and he'll be dead.
Yeah.
Versus private servers, it's like 12-ish. You could have anywhere from 9 to 12.
Yeah, in our first kill on Endless, which was I don't think tier 5 was out. I think I can't remember. It was fairly early. I'm not saying we weren't pushing for server first or anything like that. It was miles behind, obviously, but our first kill, I think the tank was borderline in getting one shot, and we had people in full crafted gear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be easy. But, I mean, let's use Karazhan as an example before we do get a bit more focused on BlizzCon. That would be impossible with too many melee. Like, you couldn't think, right, we're just going to stack warriors and rogues and cleave our way through. You wouldn't get past Maiden.
Yeah, I mean, on Maiden, you'd have to have just 3 DPS in melee, and the others would just have to stand at range. Literally.
Yeah, just shoot with their bow or their gun.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it would have to be done. You bring 5 into melee, they're all dead. The first chain lightning, including the tank.
Yeah. And then and even some of the other fights, there's a lot of fights in there where, like, all melee. You'd probably struggle with Ilhoof. You'd probably struggle with Aran, depending how it's tuned.
Prince would be terribly slow.
Oh, yeah, because of all the running away, yeah.
Enfeeble, like, just the whole team running in and out. Like, again, it'll be doable. It's just, why?
Yeah. Okay, right. Let's get back on topic slightly, and I mean, the only thing we've spoke about so far is that our perfect announcement would be fresh, but like let's go a little bit further than that. Yeah, okay, we're all in agreement. We want a fresh server or 2 fresh servers in each region, but what else? There's some real big things that could be wrong or could be better. I mean, so if I'll just go first. I mean, a big one for me is itemization. So what I'd like to show you quickly now is 70 upgrades as just released. So you're probably familiar with 60 upgrades. Someone actually showed this to me today, just before starting the stream. So 70 upgrades is now live, which is basically a gear planner. And I'm not going to say the person who develops this, because I was asking questions about who does it, and people on the stream was telling me it's sort of, I think a bit of a one-man project type thing. But the items are post 2.1 itemization. So, because they're all based off TBCDB, like you've just seen. When I've clicked on it, it's took you to TBCDB. So the gear planner that's currently on it is on post 2.1 itemization. I'll start with you, Meta. Like, what are your thoughts? What would you prefer out of the two? Actually, I mean, if you obviously you know the differences between 2.0, 2.1, or 2.4.3, because that's ultimately where we would probably end up. We're not going to go. They're not going to release it at 2.0 or 2.1. It's going to be 2.0 or 2.4.3, I would say. What are your thoughts? What would you prefer? And, what are the differences?
Well, I mean, I think I'd prefer it to be the way it was originally, as it was coming out. I prefer that for nearly everything. I would even prefer the classes to be like they were in 2.0, just to see what it was like.
Cal shaking his head, I think.
I mean, goodbye every melee then. 100% zero melee. I wouldn't even run which it's fine, right? Like, that would be unique. I'm not like, it's funny.
Why is that, Cal?
The gear itemization is just it's literally the gear itemization would be so bad you literally wouldn't run melee. They literally would be like, they would lose so much DPS going from, like, even if it was progressive, you would lose so much DPS. You'd have to wear all your tier 3. 100% you'd like never would have, because like tier 3 changes, right? Like, it goes from like 1% crit to like 28 crit rating. You'd have to keep all your tier 3. You'd be running max 40 for upgrades. Ugh.
Yeah.
It would just be like, it'd be unique though. It'd be like, because everybody in the game would adapt to it. It'd be like, all right, well, here's the new meta, let's go, and they would.
Well, it's
you would see pure warlocks. I feel like
my only issue with it is it more or less rules out Karazhan as well, which I don't like. Not rules it out. Don't get me wrong. There's still some upgrades in there, but it really limits the point of going to Karazhan, because there's like epics that drop where literally level 65 blue quest items are better. That's all I don't like. I don't like there being a raid that is a larger scale than obviously a dungeon, and the gear from the dungeons are better, or the gear from solo quests are better. I'm not really a fan of that. But I like what you said, Meta, in regards to the way the classes were and going through the patches. So the classes change, so the meta does shift a bit. Like Cal said, if we're going at 2.0, goodbye melee. But that is more because of the itemization more than anything else. But it would be nice for then, as we go through and the itemization changes and gets better, then melee get more useful. Is that what you mean? You'd like that experience as well?
Well, yeah, I just like things to change as the expansion went on.
Yeah, rather than like in Classic, where it's been Warrior Rogue basically since Phase 1 all the way through to Phase 6. And there's been very little changes. I know we've had a few minor changes, but there's never been like game-breaking changes, if you know what I mean, like where classes do actually... Yeah, where they do change. I mean, that is the only thing I don't like about Classic, actually, thinking about it, is, when you're when you're playing retail, and then they do the class rebalances and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, your Windwalker monks go from being useless to all of a sudden, there's a new patch, a new raid tier, and now they're top. It's them shifts that you see, which if we go in at 2.4.3, sorry, itemization and sort of character balancing, profession sort of tuning and balancing, then we're not going to see anything change. It's going to be static all the way through the tiers.
Yeah, I mean, they could either do that or just totally revamp everything to change it even more and like have it more balanced. Like, well, I'm not saying Wrath is perfectly balanced, but it seems like most classes are pretty strong in Wrath if you can make it work.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, while we're on that, that's leading nicely actually into a comment that I wanted to make anyway. So let's just go around the table first, and I think I know what all the answers are already, but just for clarity. So, Cal, 2.0 or 2.1 itemization?
2.1.
Meta 2.0, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2.1 to be honest. I've not looked at the stats for melee gear like previously. I've only looked at like more like caster gear, but I didn't realize it was so bad for melee.
Yeah.
The one I'm trying to find a picture of is like a Tsunami Talisman. It's the original Tsunami Talisman out of SSC. Is so funny.
Why? What is it off the top of your head?
Well, like its finished form is like crit hit and on crit procs attack power, and its pre that form is like crit restores. I think it's like restores mana or something. It's just like it goes from one of the worst trinkets into the game to one of the better ones. I'm just trying to find an old, like, looking it up.
While you look that up, I'm going to say...
Maybe it heals you.
I'm going to say 2.1 as well. And my as I say, my only argument for 2.1 itemization is the gear in Karazhan. And that's it. I've said in a video recently that you could almost see Karazhan... If we went from 2.0 and then naturally progressed into 2.1, 2.1 itemization could then also be classed as a catch-up mechanic. That's the only thing, where they've made the gear better, so now, yeah, it's a catch-up.
So, like, you're talking 2.1 itemization or 2.43 itemization?
I don't think it changed a great deal between 2.1 and 2.4.3, did it? I'm fairly sure the biggest changes to everything was... there might be the odd item, but I thought the biggest change was between 2.0 and 2.1. Feel free to keep looking.
Yeah, I'm trying to... No, yeah, that's what I'm trying to find.
In 2.0, the spell power weapons on the drop-off prints only gave 170-ish spell power.
Yeah, then they give like 203 in 2.1.
Yeah.
And it's that what I'm referring to. I think, as I say, a 2.4.3 client with 2.4.3 itemization, it will give 203. So yeah, it's like an extra 30. But like Hillwish just said in chat, it's only 2.1. As I say, I was pretty sure the itemization change was, literally just one.
Yeah,
one
I'm pretty sure didn't Karazhan do that? Like they changed the itemization. It wasn't. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 2.0 to 2.1.
I'm not sure.
So I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, I have no idea what they've done. As I say, I'm just talking purely classic for me. I think they're going to go 2.4.3 client anyway, and class balancing everything, just because it's going to be easier for them. But like I said, so we've spoke about the what itemization we'd like. But when we're talking about the perfect predictions, that we want, or not perfect predictions, but what we would want to hear. So what I'd actually like to hear is that they will actively make changes throughout the lifetime of TBC. So that means they will as actively as they try to balance classes in Shadowlands, they will do the same in TBC. So when we get these major, let's say they've done the same as in Classic, and they broke it down into 6 phases, each phase they will actually make tuning to each class. So they'll go, no, Warlocks and Hunters, too overpowered, what can we do? They might buff might buff Eviscerate for rogues, or they might, buff Bleeds for druids, or to try and bring everyone a bit closer together. And I know that's a wild thing to say, but we are talking about what we want, not what we predict is going to happen. But for me, to have that, and that goes back to what you were saying earlier, Meta, about the classes changing over time, that means we can go in at 2.4.3 or whatever, it doesn't matter, but each phase, the meta of who's top DPS could change. And I'd like to see that. I mean, feel free to discuss what your thoughts are on that, both of you.
I strongly disagree. I think that would be weird. But fuck it.
I like that. That'd be weird, but fuck it.
All right, Boomkins are now going to be your top caster. Okay. Let's go everybody make a druid.
Yeah, it would be weird, but it's not actually different from what goes on in retail.
No, I know it's not. It would just... That's a whole different ball game than TBC, though, man.
Oh, I know.
It'd be unique, that's for sure.
It would be cool if it just totally changed all the classes and then didn't tell us what's going to be good and what's not going to be good. And then they also changed all the item stats. Just did something crazy like that, changed all the loot. And then it'd be totally unfamiliar, fresh experience. But that's
you'd have to, I'm just saying, tanking, right? You'd have to give warriors AoE tanking. You'd have to balance it out, right? You'd have to give prot paladins a defensive cooldown. Bear druids would have... I don't know what you could do to bear druids, honestly.
They'd need a cooldown.
Yeah.
They're not strong enough. Give them a cooldown.
Yeah. Armor cap's not enough, and higher dodge. Bears... You know what I mean? I'm just thinking, even healing, alright, holy paladins can now raid heal, multiple people. Or a glyph of what they would do. Honestly, they'd add something in, I'm just spitballing here, man, that would really make the game weird. But it would still be TBC. They're still doing TBC content.
So what about something less weird? Let's not talk, not the class, and I'm putting this out to you guys. I'm not saying this is something I'm a fan of, but I actually would welcome it, and I've only just thought about it. New video dropping tomorrow talking about this in detail. What about what Whitemane have done with bosses? So add in mechanics to fights. Something that's not there. So all these, private server players go in and they pull Gruul, and all of a sudden Gruul's got, I don't know, a debuff that needs to be dispelled, or a curse, or something like that.
He grows 2 extra arms. He's hateful striking everyone. I would be way more open to that. Buffed content, which I'd be okay with that. Adding different mechanics, I would lean that way more than I would changing classes. If you go that way, though, but if you go that way, you're gonna see hunters and locks be more, right? You're gonna want to stack more of those classes. You're gonna funnel players into all the overpowered roles.
Yeah,
which I personally am okay. It wouldn't change my mindset, but
yeah. But I just there's certain things that Whitemane have done, just little touches, on Grand Widow Felina, or whatever her name is. The ads being given a charge. It's quite a minor change. There's them little things that have changed where it's actually, it seems so small, but it changes the way you approach the fight. I'd love to see that in TBC.
Yeah, Endless did that, and it was honestly, it was probably one of the best tier 5 experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
Tidewalker, right? Instead of 7 mobs coming from each side, it was 14 from each side. Literally 28 mobs you had to handle every 45 seconds. Yeah. And then now it made, instead of 1 paladin tank tanking all of them, you now need 2 paladin tanks running around and picking them up.
And that's exactly what I mean, Cal. That's what I'd love about it, if they just put a bit
of course,
thought
that would
into
be
the
awesome.
fights. Yeah, because that changed.
be awesome.
That changed your raid's group composition. It changed the way you had to approach the fight, and it was a minor change, really. When in the grand scheme of things, they spawn twice the amount of ads. You know, on paper, it sounds like, well, it doesn't matter, but it changed everything for you on that fight. What do you think about that?
Crazy.
Adding custom boss mechanics that should be unannounced. Obviously, people are going to go and PTR test it, and then everybody's going to know. But you know, those first people stepping into that raid with the new mechanics, it's got to be pretty like, this is cool.
Well, I think if they don't do any changes at all, it's already going to change because the players have changed and the way they play has changed. So you may as well make some changes to make it better, because if they don't make any changes, it's probably just going to be worse. And I think having a few extra mechanics in raids and on bosses and things like that will just make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, because there's content like for all of this. You know, all the raid guides are already there. All the dungeon guides, heroic guides, quickest way to get gear. You know, all of that exists before it even comes out. You know, I'd happily take down loads and loads of videos and do them again, just because they've done something different. You know, just changing a few bits, like I said, just changing, or like Cal said, just changing that one mechanic on a fight made a drastic impact. It would actually nullify any guides that are already out there.
Correct. Or do one of the greatest raids of all time is Old War. Like, I'm sorry, I would be hands down be ridiculous to not say that. They don't have heroic mode or anything. If you do the fight this way, we're going to give you some extra loot, aka hard modes. Like, that concept would be awesome, right? Like, alright, if you want to deal with twice as many ads, we're going to give you some extra loot. It would be awesome. Like, then you don't have to touch the difficulty. You'd have to script, it'd be a little more scripting, but it wouldn't be like just turn it to heroic or turn it to mythic. It'd just be do this part of the fight. Like kill Hydros without killing any of the ads. So, yeah. I mean, it'd be like something unique.
Yeah, and like you say, you could sit and make loads of mechanics up for that, like for all the tiers. And like you say, I mean, you wouldn't want to milk it. You'd want it sort of the same way as they did in Ulduar, where it was more or less like the end boss in most wings had a hard mode when it, like you had Freya, Mimeron, obviously Yogg. And then again, even the first boss had a hard mode. Oh, and actually, the XT was an achievement, wasn't it? Or was that actually classed as a hard mode, killing the heart in one sitting? I think that was just an achievement more than a hard mode. But I'd be well up for that. I mean, what's your thoughts on that matter? Because that's very different to now changing mechanics, really. This is just changing now how you do the fight.
Yeah, it reminds me of Ashes of Creation. I think they're going to implement something like that. Rather than having multiple raid difficulties, they're going to make the difficulty a little bit more inventive. Like, you bring less people, then difficulty goes up, or you get better loot for bringing less people. And I think stuff like that is just more it's more inventive than just like having to do the same raid again, like over and over again, on a different difficulty.
Yeah. All right, well, look, we're talking about changes versus no changes now, which is really off topic. But give us achievements as well. Might as well put achievements in TBC. But
Jesus.
Right, so let's we will now try and get back on topic, because obviously we do this all the time, but we do it for good reason. Obviously, we're passionate about it. So the perfect announcement. I want us to just go round and then we'll move on to the next question, or we're going to be here all day. So Cal, just in maybe like a minute or a minute and a half, what would be the perfect announcement for you? We can go on when it's going to be released, how it's going to be released, itemization, whatever. Whatever you want to talk about, what would be that perfect pitch?
Perfect pitch would be give us a date and release beta immediately. Literally, not beta coming out this time. I honestly would expect beta to be released this weekend. I'll go that far. Like, if that's not ready at this point, that's oof. And I know they probably are ready with it, and they could easily roll it out. Honestly, I can look past itemization. Population is always going to be problem, and I'd like to see them address it. And that would require changes. And I think they left Classic alone. And some people think it's successful. I would say majority of people thought it was kind of a shit show. Take spell batching and throw that shit out the window. Like, this is 2021. Your game should be able to handle a very populated server and not have to spell batch.
They did it eventually.
No, but like it better continue, right? Because TBC, as you get further into these expansions, you're probably going to get more players. Fresh TBC servers, you got to be careful though. You got to like how many servers are we going to launch? How many fresh servers are we going to launch so you don't take away from the already servers that are doing well? There are servers that are dead though. What do you do with them? Do you merge them, kick them all off, send them all to a refugee spot? And I'm only talking to the progressive servers, but something needs to be done with those players. Maybe something doesn't. I don't know. Maybe they want to be on a low pop server. I've been on one before. There's ups and downs to it too. It's not all bad. If you're staying in-house and doing things your own, then sure. But I would like to see population addressed. Meaning you gotta buff the Alliance. Like, you gotta give them Seal of Blood and the other things like that. But we'll see. The perfect announcement would just be, give us beta, give us a timeline, and go over how you're gonna address the changes. There better be changes for TBC. I'm really, really hoping. Okay. Population would be a big one. PvP will be popping no matter what. But
cool. Meta, what would be your... I'm going to get to go last, which means I'm going to just basically say everything that you two say, which is a bit depressing. But Meta, your perfect announcement.
I mean, much of the same thing. I definitely think they should... I don't think they should give Alliance Seal of Blood. I think they should just buff what Alliance Paladins already have. To make it more balanced. But then even the racials themselves. I mean, to be honest, it would be great if there were no such thing as racials in the game, and racials are just a cosmetic thing. But I think people would probably be quite pissed off if they removed racials. But it does cause a lot of issues on private servers and in the Classic community, particularly when Classic WoW launched. There's a massive divide between Alliance and Horde population, to the point where Horde couldn't even get into an Alterra Valley. They have to queue all weekend and probably get 2 pops. We don't want stuff like that to happen again. There should be some amount of changes to prevent shit things like that, because this is not very pleasurable for people to experience. It puts a lot of people off from actually playing the game.
Yeah. So you'd want some, just general sort of faction balancing, like Cal said, as in buffing the Alliance, or giving the Paladin Seal of Blood, or however you do it, but just do something slightly different. Anything else in your perfect announcement?
Could even put a faction queue on to stop people from making Horde characters.
You could do that, you're right. Or just stop people from creating. I don't think a queue though. Everybody pays money, everybody wants to play. But if they don't, could you imagine if they don't mess with the population? Everybody's going to be on Horde. Everybody is. I feel like why would you PvE and PvP? Why would you want to play Alliance? If they don't touch it, that it is what it is. But man, I really, really would expect them to do something there.
My perfect announcement is going to be so wild compared to what you've both said. Right, so let's do it. Let's do my perfect announcement. Perfect announcement would be WoW Classic Mobile, for starters. Everyone's got a phone. That's what everyone keeps saying. No. My perfect announcement would be seasonal servers that I spoke about recently. And by seasonal servers, I mean, TBC is going to come. Let's get a beta straight away, like Cal said. Let's make some changes. Whether we tune content, make hard modes, do something for faction balance, definitely. But what I mean by seasonal servers is I would like to see fast-paced content. And I know that's not for everyone. I had loads of hate on the video I put out about it, saying, oh, well, some of us have got jobs and lives and all of that. It's like, well, unlucky, mate. But I'd like to see... You're going to get the chance to do it, because as one tier... So we go into TBC and Tier 4's out. Tier 4's tuned, it's difficult, it's pre-nerf. When Tier 5 comes out, nerf Tier 4 down into the ground, so it's accessible to everyone. Because it's all about the competitiveness of the current tier. No one cares about the previous tier then. But just get through the content quick. 3-month content cycles. Let's have RAF in 2022. Literally a year of each expansion. And then what we'll look at on screen in a second is a potential leak. I don't think it's a leak. I think it's something that someone in the community has made, personally. Just to troll, maybe. But actually, I'll put it on screen now because it does go quite nicely into what I want to talk about. So this... the future of Classic. So you can see server group A, server group B, and server group C. So what we're saying is server group A is the server group that we're in at the moment. So 2021, we're going to have TBC come out. At the same time, we're going to have server group B launch, which is going to be a new WoW Classic. But alongside that, server group A are now on TBC. So then in 2023, server group A move on to WoW RAF. Server group B are now on Burning Crusade. Server group C are now on Classic. So I know somewhere they've got to draw the line. But if you was to actually shrink that, they've got it as every 2 years. If you was to shrink that down as a yearly cycle, and then maybe then sort of go, I don't know, reset them all or whatever. I don't know what you do. But as long as if you're in server group A, you get to keep your character. Not move, maybe move it over, whatever you want to do, because you're going to just say go progressively on. But eventually, let's say you wanted to stop at TBC and then maybe start at Classic again, you could still keep your TBC character on a server group A, TBC Forever Realm. I get it's wild. Like I said, my hope for an announcement was obviously going to be a bit out there. But I actually like the look of this supposed BlizzCon leak. But I just think 2 years is too long. I'd like a year of each expansion. I think a lot of us start to fall off when there's a content drought. If you're in a good guild or in a bad guild, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're stuck, let's say you're doing Tier 4 and you're stuck and you can't get Gruul down. When Tier 5 comes out, Gruul ain't going to change that much. You're still not going to get Gruul down. Your guild's going to fall apart. Some of you might quit because you like the people you're playing with. You're not bothered about finding anyone else. But then where Tier 5 gets released, Tier 4 gets nerfed, you can now kill Gruul. You can now experience all of Tier 4 and successfully get it down. You're now going to move into difficult content, more difficult. If you're struggling with Gruul, don't get me wrong, you're probably going to struggle in Tier 5. But then by the time Tier 5 comes out, you can smash through by the time Tier 6 comes out, you can smash through Tier 5. So, and there's not that long to wait. So it gives all the casuals time to actually kill all the bosses. It gives all the hardcore sweaty guilds that extra bit of fire up their ass to smash through content and maybe even be a more prestigious server first. That would seasonal servers. That's the way I would sum it up. I'm not bothered about anything else. I would say let's get through the expansions quicker because I'm impatient. I don't want to wait till 2025 to play Cataclysm. I forgot what Cataclysm's like. Everyone hates on it and says how bad it was, but I played it back then and I'd like to play it again now. But I don't want to wait till 2025 to play it. I want to get through these expansions nice and quick. Now, guys, feel free to hate on me.
Yeah, I absolutely will. Where do you draw the line? Are you ready for Legion Classic by 2025? Are you ready to run that back? Classic Cataclysm, by the way, PvP scene, amazing, and everyone I love Cata. I've played one Cata private server. It was top 3 favorite times. I'm just curious where they're going to draw the line with this legacy servers.
Well, yeah, that is the thing, and it's where you draw the line is where this server group would stop.
I mean, Blizzard has shown time and time again, man, that they're in this for the money. If they can draw it out 2 years worth of subscriptions, then they'll do it.
I mean,
they are a business at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly, and they're well within their right to do it while people want to play. But I mean, I personally, if we had TBC in 2021, I mean, we'd need to go into 2022 now. So let's say midway through 2022, we had RAF. 2023, we had Cataclysm. 2024, we've got MOP, and I'd go up to WOD, personally. But you've got to remember, by the time we get to WOD, then Legion's going to be old hat. Legion's going to be years old. So do you carry on?
It's a slippery slope. I personally, why not stop at the pinnacle, right? Why not stop at Wrath? Even though I'd love to see Kata, don't get me wrong, I would love to see Kata. I just think it's a slippery slope, man.
If you was in server group A, which you are, you're going to be server group A, because you're going to be playing TBC when it comes out. When you get to the end of Wrath in 2025, you're going to be playing TBC and Wrath for 4 years. Would you not then be actually like, oh wow, I want to take my full ICC 25 heroic geared character into Cataclysm, and experience all that. I would want to carry on.
I'd just go back to private server TBC, man. I have an addiction. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you when Kata comes out, you'd then jump into server group C and just start TBC again. But that's why this leak, even as I don't believe it, I do believe this is made by someone in the community trolling. Could be wrong. On Friday, I'm going to jizz my pants if this turns out to be true. But the fact that when you're in 2023, you can more or less play on all three, Classic, Burning Crusade, and Wrath on official servers, I mean, that would be pretty cool. Because you're not going to be tied to one, are you? You can have your server group A character that you've progressed through TBC into Wrath with, and then be like, well, actually, I want to start a vanilla character again as well. And you'd go on server group C. I mean, that, for me, this is, even if it is community made, which it probably is, I think this is a beautiful way of actually doing it. Other than, I don't like 2 years, but I'm impatient. I know when we get to the end of 2022, I'm going to be bored of TBC. And I'm going to want Wrath because it's going to be too long. 2 years of TBC for me is going to feel too long. All right.
Yeah, I mean, because they during BlizzCon, I'm assuming they're going to address what's going to happen with Classic, right? Sure, TBC announcement is expected, but then they're going to go into, all right, here's what's happening with Classic, whether it's a fresh new server or either you're going to progress or removing your character, right? They're going to have to do something. It's not like people are going to be clearing Nax for 5 years. Something's going to happen to your Classic. So either your server's going to progress or they're going to move it or they're going to just start popping open fresh servers. Yeah. Which would be great, right? It's just which would make it kind of seasonal. Hopefully they speed up the timelines though. Not much, just a little. 1 year's fine.
20% speed increase.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a few months off. If you took a month off of each tier, then let's say like me saying a year. A lot of people are going to say, in the YouTube comments. Not many people have hated me on the stream, which I like. But a lot of people are going to say a year is too short. But, let's say if they took 4 to 6 weeks off of each tier, I think that would bring the expansion down nicely. Nice enough probably to keep me interested throughout.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a point down the road, if Wrath's, out and you're raid logging Wrath, and they're like, all right, here comes a new Classic server, you might go play on it. Yeah. You know what I mean? As long as the time is just the time commitment for Classic is big in order to do it right.
Well, I mean, if it was like this, the good thing would be, so if I'm going to be in server group A, so if it was like this, by the time I'm probably started to get a bit bored of Wrath, I mean, let's be fair, I know I don't want to compare it to Whitemane because Whitemane's got increased loot drop and all of that rubbish. It's ridiculous. But even without that, it's still ridiculously quick to get ready to the point to raid log on one character in Wrath. I'd argue that with anyone. I think out of TBC and Wrath, Wrath is the quickest one to be able to just get ready to raid, and then you're sort of done. So if the tiers are too long, that's going to, like Nax 10, 25 on Whitemane at the moment, for example, even though we haven't cleared 25 because we've been having roster issues, but I'm done with hacks already. I'm like, Give me Alduar. But that's me. I'm impatient. I always want the next tier.
Yeah, I mean, Whitemane, how they're doing it, right, is they're... and I'm just not trying to get off subject. They're here to display their Ulduar scripting, right? Everyone loves Ulduar. So they're like, alright, well, we'll only have Nax out for a little while. And everyone's like, well, how are we going to get full best in slot? Well, here, we're going to throw extra loot on bosses. I mean, that's why they're doing it. So your more serious players can still obtain best in slot prior to the next raid.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And of course, but they also increase the difficulty. It's not just going to Nax 25 and clear it out. It's, you have to play along, do the buffed content.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we went a little bit around the houses, but I think we've all said what would be the perfect announcement. We've got Cal, who wants fresh servers, faction balance. What else, Cal?
Well, faction balance would mean like that or population. Population's got to be fixed. Giving Alliance dual spec. I think I told you that a while back. I'm like, that might be the play. Just give Alliance dual spec. Don't give them Seal of Blood, but give them dual spec, and I honestly think that would be enough.
Yeah. And meta, you was mostly with Cal on everything as well, but you also wanted... This is where you tell me what you wanted, because I forgot, it was ages ago.
I can't remember, but I definitely want the raids to be tuned up, definitely.
Alright, and I want seasonal servers. So, that would be our perfect announcement. Now we could... That's all... There's loads. We could sit here and talk for hours, because I want dual spec, I want achievements, but they're changes, they're not going to be something that get announced. I wouldn't have thought. So now we can move on to what do we realistically think is going to be announced. And this should be a very, very short, just, we'll each sum up what we actually think is going to be announced. And this time, Meta, we'll start with you. So, no out-of-the-box thinking, none of this seasonal stuff that we've been saying. What do you actually think realistically is going to happen Friday night when we're having a beer, trying to have a good time?
First of all, we're going to have to sit through the extremely boring opening ceremony. Which will probably spend half the time talking about new pets and new mounts and stuff like that. And then they'll cram in TBC announcement about 5 minutes before it ends. And then they'll announce... I think TBC probably will get announced. And Fresh Classic. And that'll probably be it. And then there won't be any changes of everything that we've been talking about. It'll be like the most basic bog standard progression into TBC. Without any changes, without anything addressed over issues or anything like that.
Do you think they will give any sort of timeline?
Hopefully. And then apart from that, they're definitely going to announce a new mobile game based on a different IP. It could be a World of Warcraft mobile game, could be a StarCraft mobile game, Overwatch mobile game. It's going to be something like that, or some kind of app or anything.
All right. And Cal, what do you realistically think is going to happen?
They're going to announce a new retail raid, and they're going to announce TBC Classic for sure. I would expect a timeline. Again, I'm pretty dead set on. I would assume beta's ready to go, and hopefully we get that out. I think since BlizzCon Online is free, I think they're entitled to a very boring opener, so meta can try to stay awake during it. And I in the grand scheme of things, I think TBC Classic will be a letdown, but I'm in it to win it. Because if they're gonna leave it alone, which statistically they're going to do, it'll be just please fix spell batching. That's literally would be the big thing. Which, if they are on Classic, which they are, I'm hoping that continues into TBC.
So I'm
I
going
don't
to show
think
you
they're
what
gonna
worries me. This is what worries me, Cal, and this is why my prediction of what realistically is going to happen is just going to be really, really boring, actually. It's not going to be as fun as the seasonal server talk. They're doing it in separate channels. Now, if we just have a quick flick through the schedule, so you guys on the stream, you might not have even looked at this yet, so this will be good for you. But it's spread across 6 channels. So you've got the Blizzard channel, you've got... I don't understand why the Blizzard channel is different to the World of Warcraft channel, even though it's the same on both other than Diablo. What's next? But you've got the Blizzard channel, you've got the WoW channel. Yeah, it's only the last section that's different. Which is strange, but... Yeah, so you got Blizzard, you got WoW, you got Hearthstone, you got Diablo, you got Overwatch, and you got Strategy. Now, if you're going to tune in on Friday night with me and Meta and have a beer with us while we either get really disappointed or really hard, then we're going to be watching the World of Warcraft channel. And FYI, I've had a blue post confirming that we are absolutely fine, not breaking any TOS to re-stream their stream. So that's good news, at least. I've posted that on Discord because there was people worried about it. We've got an hour and 10 minutes of an opening ceremony, yeah? Join us for the start of Blizzconline and discover the latest from Blizzard Entertainment. No spoilers here, so you're going to want to catch it live. So the opening ceremony is going to tell us nothing, basically. Now, for what's next in WoW, now, this I'm assuming is not Classic. This is WoW in general, so this is Retail and Classic. It's 30 minutes. I mean, how much detail are we actually going to get in 30 minutes? They're going to talk, and you jokingly said this, I think, didn't you, Meta? We're going to get, 5 minutes just tagged on at the end about Classic, because they're probably going to have loads to talk about for Shadowlands, because Shadowlands their new baby, their new expansion. They're going to talk, like Cal said, they're probably going to spend bloody 15, 20 minutes of that talking about a new raid, and a new pet, a new mount, and new shit that no one cares about, because retail shit. Sorry, guys, those of you enjoy it. Sorry, so Rafa's main channel covers main announcements from each game. Oh, right, okay. But the team discussed the latest content. It looks like that is mirrored anyway. So that's going to be on the WoW channel and the Blizzard channel. And then, they'll cover content for everything else. But that's 30 minutes. And then after that, for another 30 minutes, is delve deeper into World of Warcraft with the development team. Now, this is the section where I think if we're going to hear... I reckon you'll have someone from the retail side of WoW. And then you'll have someone from the classic side of WoW. And that 30 minutes might be split. And that might be where we get some detail, where it might be like, we've listened to you guys, we're going to do fresh servers, or we've listened to you and we don't care what you think, you're not going to get fresh servers. I think that will probably be the section, and again, Meta, Cal, feel free to jump in at any time. That's how I see it. I think what's next will be the announcement, and then the delve in might be a little bit of detail. But I'm still worried that there's not enough time there. And I know you're probably sat there thinking, well, 20th and 21st, there's nothing. There's nothing past Friday. All of this is then community-driven stuff that we don't care about. Character voices, and they're real people who do them and all that. All right, great. It's literally everything's hung on this 1 hour from 11 till midnight on Friday for the entire of retail and classic.
I just think it's going to be a little revamped cinematic for TBC Classic, and that's pretty much it. Nothing else.
We're going to see Chromie.
Yeah, it'd be like a Chromie revamped cinematic at the end.
I mean, but that's all you think we're going to get? They're not. So you think we'll get a revamped TBC trailer, Meta, and an announcement, I'm assuming, to go alongside it?
No, I don't think they'll even do that. I don't think they have the time looking at it. I think they'll just do it at the end and then not say anything.
I mean, alright. I'm dreading Friday already. I'm getting a bit anxious about it, I'm not going to lie. Alright, so
have you seen
my prediction... Sorry, Cal, let me just get my prediction out of the way quickly, because mine is going to be short. I personally think the last 10 minutes of what's next is going to be classic, and I think they're going to announce TBC, and I actually genuinely think they are going to outline future plans. I genuinely think they will they'll announce more than just TBC, and that's not me being hopeful. I just think they will say, Wrath of the Lich King is on the horizon. We don't know anything further than that. I don't see a timeline or anything like that, but I think they will just give us a little bit of a teaser past TBC. And then in the second section, I would predict that they will go over the rationale between how TBC is going to be released. And I bet you, I don't want to bet because there's not a lot of time there, I reckon they might show on some sort of presentation some of the results from the polls that they sent out. Even if they've manipulated the figures to say, no, 90% of the population don't want fresh servers or whatever, I think they might just go over the results from those polls that went out recently. Again, just to back up their rationale for why they're doing it wrong. That's me done. Sorry, Cal, what was you going to say?
No, have you've seen? Do you know how the TBC trailer goes? The start of it?
Yeah, I have it on repeat behind me on that telly, don't I?
Yeah, like Illidan talking about it's been 10,000 years. It's just gonna be revamped. He's gonna be like, it's been 14 years.
That's all they changed.
Chromie's gonna show up and just change it. It's been, I think, 2007 or 2006? I think it's 7. But it's like that would be funny.
That would be funny. I'm not sure where they're going to fit in WoW Classic Mobile here, though. That's it. Maybe that'll be on the 20th. I don't know. I
mean, Blizzard's biggest moneymaker, is a mobile game. It's none of. Mobile gaming is gonna take off for them. I think if not, they're gonna dump a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Candy Crush Saga, which Blizzard owns, makes billions of dollars. So they're gonna dump some money into mobile gaming for sure. I'd like to see Overwatch 2. I don't really play that game much, but I'd still like to see it. StarCraft's probably dead.
We're going to see something for Diablo 4, obviously.
I play RTS. Oh, yeah, Diablo 4 for sure is going to be talked about.
And I think, I reckon it's going to be the new classes or something like that, because there's not really that much information on Diablo 4, is there? I think there's only 2 classes that have been released or announced. So I think there could be a lot to talk about around Diablo. It's just a shame that we'll have to watch that one back because we'll be watching the WoW one live. But we've only got 2 questions to get through, and I said this would only take about an hour. Sorry, Chenis, it's a bit late now, but I'll just turn it down a touch. What is the worst? So now you can go as ridiculous as you want. Like, literally, go as absolutely ridiculous as you want because, it's up to you. But what's the worst thing that could happen at BlizzCon Meta?
I guess TBC doesn't get announced, but we just announce fresh classic servers. I think if they didn't announce anything, that would be better than them announcing fresh classic servers. Because I cannot be asked leveling to level 60 again. I just wouldn't play Blizzard games, probably. I wouldn't play any World of Warcraft ever again. I'd go and play Ashes of Creation or something.
But just FYI, I've just spent $350 on Ashes of Creation. I've bought into the beta. But that was really off topic. Anyway, Cal, what would be the worst thing for you?
If TBC doesn't get announced, I'm putting a hole in that wall right there. Right.
Are you then going to send one of your mates to crawl through it?
I'd go to private servers and never look back. Right? Like I have a good time on private servers. If it doesn't get announced, that would just be, what are you guys doing?
So on that, being realistic, I'm going to get to mine, which is going to be very similar to both of yours, funny enough. But if it didn't get announced, are you really that bothered? Because there'll be a fresh private server. There's always going to be TBC around on private servers.
Yeah, I've given Blizzard at this point thousands of dollars. I love them. I love I love their products generically. Across the board, I like their products, and for them to be one of my favorite gaming companies to let me down on that level. Like, everyone wanted Classic, they announced Classic, it was hype. If there's no hype going into, oh my god, I would just, yeah, it would bother me. Just because, like, I have an expectation for them. They usually end up a little below it, but like, to not even be on the board would be weird. Again, I think that's really far-fetched, and I 100% would bet a lot of money on it being announced, but man, if it wasn't, holy hell.
Yeah, okay, so I think for me, it's really difficult. I'm not going to try and just sit here and make something up, because I agree with both of you 100%. My main issue would be if they thought that re-releasing Fresh Classic, but with spellbatching removed, was it. You know, they're removing world buffs or whatever. You know, they're making those small changes to vanilla and then relaunching it again. That would be the worst thing for me. And it's not even because of the lack of TBC. It's because of the lack of thought, the lack of caring, the lack of actually, you know, giving the vast majority of people what they want. Because there's so many people who want TBC. Even the biggest classic streamers, the biggest classic YouTube content creators, we know who they are. They're all jumping on the TBC bandwagon. You know, everybody wants it, so to not get it would be ridiculous. But I would rather... I feel like I'm mimicking fucking Metagoblin, but I would rather nothing than fresh classic servers, because to me that would be the worst possible thing that they could do. But that's not going to happen. It would be worst case, but come on, I mean, surely we can all sit here now and realistically know we are getting TBC announced on Friday, aren't we? I mean, I'm shitting myself, because if we don't, I've wasted a lot of time over the last year.
You'd be given, what, 6 more months to waste more time and hopefully have it out by, you know, by then. It would suck, though, man. It definitely would suck.
Would it be amusing to any... It wouldn't be amusing to me, because it would be really awkward watching, you know, however many people tune in on Friday, watching me cry on stream. I mean, they've seen me fall asleep, they've seen me fall over, they've seen me nearly be sick, they've seen me do a lot of weird shit, but they've never seen me cry on stream yet. But if TBC didn't get announced and I cried and started telling Meta how much I love him, how funny would it be if then the next morning they said, sorry, we run out of time, and then announced TBC, just put a post on WoW Europe, you know, that's it. Like, sorry guys, we ran out of time last night because we was talking about shitlands, but, you know, we are really bringing TBC out. Do you think they would be that brave?
No, I mean, Jesus.
No.
They got the, right? Like, they... Could you imagine, like, having the platform, everyone's expecting it, and then wasting that, and then coming back? I mean, it would still hit everyone, but man, no, that'd be funny, but Jesus.
I can't wait for Saturday. YouTube on Saturday is just going to be mental. Every man and their dog are going to be making it's got TBC videos as of Saturday. When we get an announcement, which we will, it's going to be flooded. YouTube's going to be flooded. Everybody's going to be doing what they're doing already. I get people linking me videos all the time going, check this out, you know, and it's someone with 100,000 subscribers or whatever, you know, basically making exactly the same video as somebody else that somebody else has already done, just because they've got more subscribers. I think YouTube's going to go fucking disgusting for TBC as of Saturday. I can't wait. I'm going to be right in the centre of it. I'm going to be ripping off Meta's content. I'm just literally just going to be using these videos and talking over it.
Oh, well, you can if you want.
But no, all right. Look, we're on the last question, and then we can call it a night. So, what do we think the timelines will look like in comparison to recent leaks? So I can get that Reddit leak up if you want me to, but I think. You probably let me go on this other screen while I try and find it. But let's look at what if we do get a timeline announced. how we actually think it'll look. God knows how I'm going to find it. I can't remember what it is now. Cal, you guesstimate a timeline for TBC from beta to Sunwell Plateau.
Bait out this weekend and launch in summer, midsummer. Hopefully not fall, but whatever. I'll be happy with fall too. Soon, like I'm talking soon, man.
I love the way you say beta this weekend. I mean that gets me excited on its own more than how trim you look today.
And everyone's like, well, what would they put the level cap? Like, it better be like TBC beta. Like, you can do the Blood Elf starting zone. You should be able to do Hellfire Peninsula, whatever. Like, nobody wants to redo classic stuff in TBC. So it better be TBC material. Even if it means just the Blood Elf starting area to Ghostlands, and same thing for the Janai. That'd be fine to start, right? That'd give us something to do. To get hyped for.
All right, so looking at this, I just found it. So Meta, how accurate would you think this would be? So tier 4 and 5 content at launch on May the 4th. Let's start there first. How realistic do you think a May the 4th release will be?
I think that seems a little too soon. I definitely think the beta will be soon. Like, it could be this weekend or at least within like the next month. Because looking at the timeline, like they need to do beta testing before it comes out. But like, yeah, I think it'll launch like in summer, like Hill said.
Dude, if they release T5 on launch, I will cry with happy tears. Oh my god, that would be awesome. Do I think they'll do it? No, but that would be so awesome.
Yeah, my guess has been sort of mid to end of June. And I'd probably still stick by that, especially if we got beta the weekend. I mean, that would be immense. But what about the gaps between these then? So, if let's pretend May the 4th, that's coming out on Star Wars Day. I mean, how do we feel about then November, Tier 6 comes out? Forget Solar Man, because to me that's neither here nor there. But then we've got August, September 2022 between Tier 6 and Sunwell Plateau. I mean, Cal, looking at these timelines, what's your thoughts on all of them, from start to finish?
February to August, September. Like, the ZA to Sunwell one doesn't make sense to me. The rest looks fine. Like, you'd want Sunwell out... July? Like...
Yeah, it's 9 months between Tier 6 and Sunwell, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's too... I mean, that's probably closer to what it was, though. It doesn't feel like that. But ZA in February, and then you're still grinding Tier 6 all the way to Sunwell?
Yeah. But what about Tier 4 and 5 launching at the same time? Do you think that's realistic? Do you think that'll happen?
Nah, I mean, no, I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be so awesome. It would be so much content to work through right off the bat. Oh, it'd be glorious. So, I mean, if anything, you'd shift Tier 4, and then do Tier 5 in November, and then do starting Tier 6 in February. That would look a little more better to me and more reasonable for them, right? Like, they can, as they release tiers, people like to come back to the game because they like it better or something, They did it in Classic, in the phases.
What about you, Matt? What do you think about the content release schedule? How likely, from start to finish?
Well, I think they'll just totally revamp it into similar thing they did in Classic and just have it in 6 phases.
Yeah, which you could comfortably get 6 phases out of this content and phase it. And I mean, we're only talking about the raids. Obviously you're going to slot the new arena seasons in there with the different tiers, and I mean, you could probably get 6. Tier 4 is going to be 1 phase on its own. Tier 5 is going to be one on its own. You could potentially even split Black Temple and Mount Hydra up. And then...
You could. Tier 5 on launch brings the biggest problem with Tier 5 on launch is Storm Herald being in the game for Season 1. Literally. Like it would really mess with the PvP aspect of the game, and there's going to be a lot of PvPers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, you got literally that weapon alone. Just having Tier 5 loot in a Season 1 arena is just too strong.
So you personally think Tier 5 will come maybe with Season 2? That have Season 1 as... Season 1 as Tier 4 is going to be too long, isn't it?
Yeah, they got to find a nice balance. But if you release Tier 5, you're going to have people farming trash for nether vortexes. And yeah, I just think Storm Herald in Season 1 is just ridiculous. That is a Tier 6 weapon. Like, equivalent weapon. And you're just going to... Warrior Druids are just going to crush everything. Thus killing PvP.
All right. So look, so timeline wise, we've covered as well each of us. As I say, I personally think a June release. I genuinely do think Tier 4 and 5 will come together, just because I think it will be easier for them. I actually hope it don't. I hope we do get Tier 4 for a short amount of time, and then Tier 5 is gated. But I actually do think 4 and 5 will come together. I mean, 4 phases. I think that could be that. I would go with that. I could see that being right, but just not the timelines. I'd like to see Sunwell Plateau definitely move back 2 to 3 months, realistically. 2 months. We'll say 2 months. But obviously, you know what I'm like already. You know, nice short expansion, please. Let's get to Wrath, where the real party starts. But that's some of Wrath fanboy. So, unless you guys have got anything to add, we've gone over everything. We've gone through what the perfect announcement would be, what we realistically think is going to happen, what the worst thing is that could happen, and what we think are the timelines. And we've covered a few extra bits in between there as well, to be fair. But any more before we call it a day?
No, I got nothing else.
No.
All right. In which case, then, boys, I'll chat to you later. And thank you everyone on the stream for turning up.